Brown-Reinsel, and I'm really happy to be doing some technique videos for YouTube for you. I'm going to show the Channel Island cast on with the Continental method of knitting. And the Channel Island cast on gives this beautiful little cast on that has beads along it. And when you're working this, you want to use 3 strands of yarn. And I will use 3 different balls in order to do this so that I don't run out of yarn. I make a slip knot with all 3 and keep a tail that's about 3 to 4 inches long. Tension it down. And I'm going to hold 2 of the yarns around my thumb and 1 over my forefinger. The double yarns will create the bead at the bottom, and the single yarn will create the stitches. And this process makes 2 stitches at a time. So I'm going to take my needle behind the yarn to make the first stitch, go up through both double loops for the bead, go over and behind the single yarn again for the second stitch, and bring it through. And then I tension it by rocking my yarns back and forth. Every time you make a new stitch, you've got to realign the hand and the yarn. So you take your needle behind the single yarn, up through the loops, over and behind, and through. Now, if this is too loose, you might want to take it off and try again. Wrap, go up through the loops. If you keep this new stitch close to your last stitches, you won't have so much of a loose gap in between. Note that the yarns that are wrapped around my thumb are wrapped so that it comes off the front of my thumb to connect to the needle. If you wrap it the other way, it will not be as easy to do this technique, and because it's actually working against the grain of the yarn when you pull the yarns. So here is the completed Channel Island cast on. You can see that I've got the double loops of the slip knot here. Once you've done a few rows of knitting, you can take that out. If you take it out right away after you've cast on, it'll look like it's going to come apart, even though it won't. So I usually tell people to wait before they pull that out. And also notice that I've done garter stitch. I think that Channel Island cast on looks best with garter stitch because it tends to bring the cast on forward. If you want to use ribbing with Channel Island cast on, you would want to use a knit one, purl one ribbing and center the beads underneath the knit rib so that they will come forward. If you put them under the purl rib, they'll tend to recede some. I'd like to thank you for joining me for this tutorial. I hope you learned something and you enjoyed it. You can also check me out on my website, www.knittingtraditions.com, and you can access my blog and you can sign up for my newsletter there. You can also purchase my book and my DVD on my website or at your local